Okay, so this video we can cover the next what would be the next tier of alchemy beyond eliminating habits, which a lot of people are going to be stuck with. That's going to be something that you're going to have to work at for a long while because we have a lot of bad habits. A lot of us have poor habits and things that we believe are necessary. Like, I can't really get around without chapstick, and I smoke a lot of cigarettes, obviously, but um, there are a lot of factors that contribute to the makeup of our personality that maybe we're unaware of, or we could be, very well aware of, but still consistently addicted to. And addiction in and of itself isn't to be regarded necessarily as a bad thing. In essence, you might be addicted to something that's good. You never know. But what you want to do is identify the things that are bringing you down, that are dragging you. And again, briefly, we'll cover. You know, um, you feed your body. You feed your body foods, and for the most part, a lot of the food that we do have access to is going to be processed. It's not very good food for you. A lot of it is, the fast food that we eat at McDonald's and shit like that stuff is no good for you. It doesn't provide any nutrition. It's not. It's junk food. It's not good for your body, and it's designed that way. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be convenient. It's meant to be an instant gratification. It's meant to taste in a certain way, be appealing in a certain manner, just befitting this addictive cycle that it's building. That you're gonna keep wanting these fast food items. You're gonna keep wanting Taco Bell, McDonald's, and such, and you feed yourself something that's not nutritious to your body, and it's weighing you down. It's bringing you down, and it's keeping you from excelling. And as I said, it's going to be difficult to find actual good food that's is really good for you. It's not something we come across often, and especially the factor that it's expensive to get actual good food that's nutritious for you and good for you. So that's something that you want to weigh out, is maybe go to, like, I go to all these, and I get chicken. You know, it it's processed in to some extent. It's not exceptionally healthy. The way that it should be, and some people don't eat meat, so I mean, get fruit, get bread, whatever it is that you do eat. Get it in bulk if you can. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to eat, but I mean, I am going to tell you that it's probably a good idea to steer clear of junk foods like McDonald's and fast food and shit like that. You want to feed your body something that's substantial, that's going to allow for it to build the capacity to have higher energy levels and to, maintain higher levels of energy. But then at the same time, you're also feeding your brain and you're feeding your spirit. You feed your brain with knowledge, with information. And so at the same time, you don't want to be feeding your brain junk foods. you know, you don't want to be feeding it crap, profits of death. You don't want to be feeding it just memes and useless, senseless nonsense. Fucking brief cartoons and shit, and just things that are insubstantial. You want to feed your brain substantialities. You want to feed your brain information that's lasting, that's going to have a lasting effect, that's going to motivate you and inspire you. You don't want to be, and you get what you give in the world. That's what karma is. That's what luck is. You get what you give. You want to put out positivity. You don't want to be feeding your brain depressive nonsense, emo fucking down cycle shit. You don't want to be consistently telling yourself to be down. And you don't want to tell other people that, because you're going to get that feedback and you're just going to create a loop. The world is essentially, your experience of the world is a feedback loop, that you put something out and you receive a reflection, and you're constantly reflecting off of the world. So you want to feed your brain intelligence, you know, information that is positive, that is motivational, that's instructive in an informative manner. Stop feeding your brain memes. Stop feeding your brain depressive bullshit. Stop feeding your brain, 20-second cartoon clips of clay action figures, killing each other. It's funny and it's neat to have once in a while, but every fucking thing in moderation. You know, you got to feed your brain something substantial or it's going to atrophy and you're going to lose your potentiality and you're going to stop evolving, you're going to stop building yourself, and you're going to hit that point where they say that you're hardwired and you build a cognitive dissonance. And that's something that particularly we need to deal with, is cognitive dissonance. When you have a certain belief structure and other ideas come to you and you just blow them off because they don't fit with your specific belief structure, your specific understanding, you got to stop doing that. You don't understand that it's because you're addicted to these beliefs, and beliefs are defined as being unreal. It is called a belief because you do not know it. You believe in it, but it's not known. It's not actual. You have no actual real evidence, proof of it. So it's not something that you should be gripping onto as tight as you can and adhering to and basing your reality on a belief structure when it is in fact defined as being unproven. Take all the evidence that you can get in, examine everything, allow evidence to come through, open your mind, open up your mind. You know, uh, if you believe in the Bible, you know, look at and other people tell you about other religious scriptures, the Hindu Vedas, the Quran. These things they agree with each other. On a fundamental level, they're telling the same story. They're in agreement with each other. They just have differing concepts. And I'll tell you this much. The Bible, Christianity, that's really the only religion I can think of at the moment that adheres to the concept that God is a personality, that God is a person figure, a human, you know, in a sense, is this father figure. And falling back on that, that belief system trains you to believe in God, the world, as being like a parental figure. And so at that point, you're going to be placing into your feedback loop the concepts that you have of your parents and how they treated you. And that's, in many cases, you're going to find that atheists were people who had poor parental figures. They couldn't rely on them. They were parental figures that they couldn't rely on, they had no trust in, maybe were abused by in some cases. Parental figures that provide them with values representing the parental figures that they'd rather discard. And so they don't have a concept of a God. They reject a concept of a God because they are, again, that Christianity is all over the place. It's influencing everything. It's the hot topic now. It's been there for thousands of years, but it's not long, relatively speaking. It is the trend now, and has been the trend for what is, comparatively speaking, a very short duration of time in our history. It's the new religion. It's the new kid on the block, and everybody's buying into it. And it's influencing our understanding of all the older concepts to where we're deciding that God is a parental figure that's looking down on us, that's judging us in some way, that's passing judgment upon us, and we project our ideas that we have of, thanks, Fee, we project our ideas of our parents onto it and consider God to be like this parental figure that's judging us in the same way they would maybe as an absentee parent. And of course, we have that concept in play too. Other religions will teach you that God is present, that God is a present figure and factor in your life at all times, and in fact, that God is a part of you, that it is within you, that you are an incarnation of what God is being, that you are a representative factor of God's experience, that you are the experiential facet of God's entity, and that it's ever present and it's ever evolving, and it's present in the world and is a part of your life, a part of your life that you can engage, that you can know and experience, and that you can communicate with. Whereas Christianity is teaching you that God is an absentee parent that stuck around for a little while to abuse us, essentially, to impose rules upon us and threaten us and then destroy us for not following its rules perfectly. His rules, again, it's a he there, which is a very limiting concept to have for God. Everything is a he. Why? Why would you even want to think that? I'm guessing it has something to do with wanting to put men on a pedestal and put women down. Earlier versions of a sexual presence in the God figure were all feminine. We had a goddess way back when. Honestly, I'd rather have that if I had to choose between one or the other, let me tell you. It's my father. I'm not even going to talk about him. I'll tell you, my mother's one of the greatest people that ever lived. One of the most wonderful, caring people, most generous to a fault people I've ever known. And she is, in fact, the mother of the initiative. She looks after all of the directive members as though they were her children. She loves all of us very much. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. My father, I don't even know where he is. He got some money from my grandmother's inheritance from my grandmother's death, and spent it all on booze and a motel for a few weeks, and then blew town. Who the fuck knows where he is? I love him. I try to help him, given the opportunity. I tried like hell. I even tried sinking myself into his depths and being with him and being a part of that, and being in the same predicament as him and trying to work our way out of it, and didn't work. Didn't take. He's stuck because he's addicted to that. He's addicted to living that way. He's addicted to being that way. And if you have that kind of an idea for your God as being an absentee addict, I mean, what are you doing? This is your decision. This is not, somebody else isn't deciding this for you. There is no he, father, God figure that, burned down a few cities and then blew town. And now he's looking down on you from somewhere in the heavens, judging you, waiting for judgment day to come. Come on, wake up, man. Get with the program. We're trying to do something real here. This is reality. We're living in the real world. You cannot live under those kinds of structures. It doesn't work. It's not workable. You can't feed yourself that, and this is the spiritual aspect of it. This is going to be what you're feeding your emotions through your experience. And the feedback loop that you're creating is really, ultimately, it's going to come down baseline to what your consideration of God is and your perspective. Because God is the representative value. The term God and that figure, Brahman, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, that's the representative value for existence itself. And so that's how you're defining your experience of reality, is going to be what? An absentee addict father who was abusive. Now, Jesus shows up and Jesus speaks of a different God than the God from the Old Testament. Jesus speaks of God as being God, as like the Buddha, the Brahman, one with all of us. The Father and I are one. You are all the same. Any one of you can do the same as I have done. These are the teachings of Jesus Christ. That God is an ever-present factor in our lives that is one and the same with all of us, that is working through us. That's a different God than what the Old Testament is talking about, someone who's actually there, a person that's killing people, that's imposing rules on people. These are two different entities. They're not the same thing. Okay, so anybody who is a Jesus fan, anybody who's DTF with Jesus and the teachings of Jesus, you got two different scriptures in that Bible. One is speaking of Jesus Christ as a messianic figure trying to teach the world that we are all one with God, and that God is an ultimate present factor in our lives, and that it's an experiential unity between all of us, cosmic consciousness. and a force that allows for us to build our own destiny. And then you have the previous story of a dictator that invaded, imposed rules, murdered people, and then vanished. Blew us all off when it got sick of us, or maybe it died. Who knows? This person, whoever it was, is gone. That's not, these are not the same characters in that story that they're speaking of. If that's not obvious to you, then I don't know what else to say except consider what I've said here and reread the book, because it's evidently obvious. And again, if you're watching this and you're like angry with it, that is your programming reacting. That's cognitive dissonance. That is the shaded aspect of your subconscious self fighting to keep itself going, because it's afraid that you're going to ditch it. And you know what? You really ought to, because it's dragging you down. These values are dragging you down. They're keeping you down. And so the operative factor of alchemy, and what is a big aspect of spot casting and a big aspect of time mechanics, they could all be referred to in the same sentence, really, is deciding what you're feeding yourself. And I don't have the time to get into exactly what different mechanisms are in play there, but you can look into it. There's a video that I posted, an introduction to alchemy, that has, if you go to that channel, you can find a video called Operative Alchemy that will tell you everything, every last little thing. You have your nerve centers, your chakras. Each one of them has a different purpose. These are realities. These are medical, physical actualities. They're not spiritual mysticism, hocus pocus. Okay, they each serve a different function. They're each attached to different organs, and there are various compounds in the world that are adaptive to each one of them, and that can cause differences and alterations to each one of them. And what you need to do is kind of line these up in preparation ultimately for the unlocking of the Kundalini impulse, which is going to allow for you to move very fast and evolve rapidly, and be in operative control of the way that you're functioning in the world. And like I've said before, a lot of us have this active already to some extent or another, and people have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, people have tinnitus, people have aches and pains. It did pretty much anything that you can think of, any symptom that isn't directly related to a certain disease, and even the disease itself is thereby related to this. It's all related to this one simple thing. Line up those chakras, clear them out, balance yourself. In alchemy, there are various teachings of chemical compounds in the world that can be used to, hack your body and your brain, and essentially hack your brain and cause for your brain to make alterations to your body, which allow for these to line up properly and to open up. And this is your body. Okay, when they say your body's a temple, that has meaning. You're living in this body, this vehicle. This is your life. This is your life. And according to most of you, especially the Christians, you only get one. You only get one shot. So if you're sitting there pissed off at me thinking this guy's speaking heresy or some nonsense like that, wake up, man. You might not have another chance. Get with the program. Get your shit together. Understand yourself. Look at the reality of your body and how it operates, because this is it. This is what you have. This is your experience of life. Okay, that's the reality. It's not a belief system. You have nerve clusters in your body we call chakras. They have different functions. There are compounds provided by the environment, God-given natural medicinal properties in the world around you, that are there for a specific reason, to serve the function of assisting you in making the best possible use of this vehicle that, from your understanding, you only get one chance to have. So get fucking real, people. Get real. And try to keep in mind that everybody else has the same one. Color of your skin, race, culture, where you came from, none of these things are real. None of these things matter. What matters is that you are all emotionally based creatures that have the same function and live in the same consciousness. And we are sharing this life together. And how we relate to each other, how we reflect upon each other, the feedback loops that we each create, that's creating our experience, and that's causing for us to feel the way we do, which is ultimately what matters. That's the only thing that you really need to care about, is how you feel. And you make yourself feel a certain way by acting upon the principles of your body and the mechanics of physics and how these things function. These organisms that you have, the mind, the body, the spirit, these things, that's what you're working with. And you gotta take this opportunity that you have right now. You have an opportunity. If what No matter what you believe, no matter what you've thought up to this point, right now you have the opportunity to stop, scratch it, right here, right now. I'm a new person, and I have the opportunity to alter myself in whatever way I choose. And there's nobody judging me for it. The only judgment that you're getting is coming from the world around you, is coming from your own mind, and that judgment is based upon how you act. So act appropriately. Be kind, be caring, be open. Feed the world with your insights, feed the world with your beliefs, feed the world with your understandings, feed the world with your wisdom, feed the world with your experience, and receive the feedback. Feed me, feed our members. Give us something to chew on. Throw out some topics, throw out some interests. Post a song you like, post a link to a video you think is interesting. And I can guarantee that myself and the Directive members will give you positive feedback. Nobody's ever going to be negative to you here. Nobody's ever going to try and put you down, shut you out. We're always going to be working to motivate each other and to inspire each other. And if we know anything about what interests you that you might not, we can give that to you. If you know something that we don't, you can give that to us, and we can all work together to get better at this. It's the only game in town. It's the only game we have to play. It's the only thing that matters. So if there's something holding you back from being a kind, reflective, caring person that wants to share yourself and is sharing yourself and what you care about with the world and is receiving feedback, if there's something stopping you from being an open, honest person and from relating to the people around you and from assisting in making something positive happen in the world, then that's a habit you need to cut the fuck out right now. Identify that pattern, delete it. Take control of the computer that is your brain and get a grip, get a handle. Work with these habits in a positive manner. Cause for the alterations you need. And as I've said before, these are routines that you've developed for a long, long time. It's going to be real difficult to do this. It's going to be really difficult to alter these patterns. It's going to be really difficult to change these habits. It's going to be difficult to accept something else over what you've had thus far. It's going to be difficult to alter the way that you behave and react to things. But the way that you behave and react to things is what causes the reaction you get from the world and from the people around you. And that's basic common sense. So, don't be an asshole, pretty much, is the bottom line factor on that. And then on top of that, try to be a good person. Try to be helpful. Try to make things happen. Try to be kind to people. Try to be, whatever you can to assist. And what we have for you here is this opportunity for you to do it in a safe place where we can guarantee that if anybody ever has something negative to say about any of you, if anybody fucking replies in a negative or down-putting, offensive manner, you probably won't even see it because our operator will clip that shit in a heartbeat. It'll be gone. will eliminate that. We're not going to allow for negative things to happen here. We're not going to allow for offensive, negative shit to go down. Everything's going to be maintained in a positive manner. You're free to do as you please. You have an open operative training ground here to do whatever you please in perfect security. So, I think that about covers it. I mean, that would be the third tier of alchemy is pay attention to the way that you behave, pay attention to the way that you operate in the world, and decidedly be positive. Make positive changes for yourself and for your life. Just consistently do that. And when you're done eliminating all the bad habits that you have, start making good habits. Work on that. And of course, a lot of you are going to watch me and you're going to say, well, you're always smoking cigarettes, chain smoking cigarettes and shit. Sorry, that's a habit I have. It's one I'm not ready to get rid of. But guess what? It's not harming you, is it? And if you take such offense to it that it's causing for you to disregard the knowledge that I'm giving you, that is a bad habit you have that you need to be working on. If there's something in the world that causes something that's not directly harming you, that causes such offense that it's creating a cognitive dissonance and it's blocking you from retaining information, it's blocking you from growing and evolving, sorry, but that's a trouble you need to deal with. Get better at this. I may chain smoke cigarettes and not, really have good food to eat, but I'm certainly not causing any harm to people. And I'm doing the best I can to help everyone I come across. I'm pretty sure that's a good thing. Any scripture is going to tell you that. So hold on to your beliefs if you must, but maintain they are beliefs. They are not real. We are dealing with reality. We are investigators. We're dealing with experiences. We're dealing with operative faculties of our prominent existence. So we're trying to make a positive change in everything here, and for fuck's sake, man, we need your help. I mean, we're doing well here. As I've said, we're doing pretty well. Things are going smoothly, but as I've also said, we keep falling back because we haven't hit that critical mass, because too many of you are too shy or too afraid or whatever it is that's holding you back. Just cut it. Spot that and clip it. Move on. We're giving you an excellent opportunity here. Use it. Don't toss it. I mean, not only is this something that is imperative, not only is this something that we actually do need to do in order to ensure that our future is secured, but it's something that you can have a whole hell of a lot of fun with if you just toss yourself into. Treat it like anything else. Treat it like skydiving. Treat it like taking a dose of acid. Treat it like whatever it is that you needed to build up a little bit of bravery for and jump into, and jump the fuck into it. Just dive in. I can personally promise you're gonna get nothing but positive feedback, and you're gonna get insights. Things are gonna grow. People are gonna evolve. You're gonna cause positive changes for other people. Everything is going. Anything that you invest here, anything that you put into it is going to have positive results. I promise you that. So, again, thank you for this time. This is 10 minutes shorter than the usual one, so I'm hoping that you guys actually watched it. Hila Salai. Take care of our home world. Terry Uniciari. Let's all move forward together, all as one. Namaste. All of us are the same, man. All of us are the same person. I look into the windows of your soul and I see myself. Namaste.